Hey guys, welcome back to Carson Lemons. Today we're doing NFL Week 6 score predictions. Already in Week 6, there will be no Thursday Night Football today just because of all the scheduling problems. So, yeah, we don't really have to rush to get this out. You'll have time to actually have a couple days to watch this before the game. Normally I feel kind of bad because I always post them a few hours before the game start on Thursday, but no. Today we're posting these on Thursday, and there's no game. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to go through every game, and we're going to talk about them, and then I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little black box right here, and I'm going to get rid of that, and the scores will pop up. Anyway, let's talk about Titans versus Texans. The Titans last week were insane. I mean, they went out there, and they beat one of the best teams in the league, the Bills, 42-16. It was insane. It wasn't even really close. I mean, I guess at one point it was 7-7, 14-10, whatever. It was close for a bit, but then again, all games started 0-0, and the Titans kind of took off, and it was an amazing game there by the Titans. They had a week off. I thought they'd be rusty, but no, they didn't have any rust on them, and they just took off. The Texans last week finally got their first win. They got rid of Bill O'Brien. And when I'm looking at these two teams, I see two really good teams, and this is a very good divisional battle. I could see this coming into play later in the year, whenever eventually playoff seeding is starting to emerge. Like, we kind of know what teams are going to make the playoffs and which teams are not. Because technically, right now we're looking at teams that are 0-5, like the Falcons and the Giants, and we're saying, maybe the Falcons could pull something off. Maybe the Giants could win 3 games and win the division. I think at the end there, it could be like who's going to win the AFC. I think it's AFC South. Is it the Titans or the Texans? And looking at this, the Titans just have such an explosive offense, and the Texans' offense, I just don't think, even though we saw a lot of good stuff last week, I don't know if it's there yet. I'm actually going to give the Titans the win here on a 2-score game, 30-21. And the Titans, they stay undefeated and they move on. The Texans, they fall to, I think, 1-5. Let me check. Yeah, they fall to 1-5, and that is never a good look. So right now, I think the Titans are just, I think they have a really good defense, and I think their offense is more talented than the Texans. So I'm going to give it to the Titans. Moving on, we have the Eagles versus the Ravens. The Eagles, I think they've showed improvement these past couple of weeks. Whenever they beat the 49ers, of course, and then last week they actually came close to coming back against the Steelers, which is really good because the Steelers this year are looking like a really good team. Meanwhile, the Ravens might have the best defense in the league. However, their passing game with Lamar Jackson, I don't think Lamar Jackson has been a top 3 QB like this whole year, like looking at fantasy points. And also, I mean, their passing game just hasn't been there. And the Eagles could take advantage of that. That's really the only weakness the Ravens have. However, you look, like I said, the Ravens might have the best defense in the league, and then you look at the Eagles with their pretty poor performing offense. And unless they step something up like crazy, I do think it'll be a pretty big blowout, 35-20. Not my lock of the week, but it is a pretty big loss. I think it might be my second closest. It might be the closest game to being the lock of the week, other than, of course, my lock of the week. Next up, we've got Vikings versus Falcons. And it's crazy because both of these teams have been really underperforming. But you look at the Vikings in these past couple of games, they've been looking like their old self. They have been playing better. I mean, I think they beat the Texans was the game they beat. And then last week they had a pretty close game with who they play? I don't know. They have with the Seahawks. They had a 1-point loss to the Seahawks, which is really good. Meanwhile, the Falcons, they had a bunch of close games, and then last week they kind of got beat pretty badly there by the Panthers. And I do think it'll be a pretty close game because both of these teams have really good offenses, and I think coming off of last week, the Falcons can look and say, all right, we just need to feed Todd Gurley. That's all we need to do, feed Todd Gurley, because right now Todd Gurley he's playing really well. They just need to let him have the ball, basically their whole offense. So I do think they will score a lot of points. Not a lot of points, but I think they'll keep it close. But in the end, I do think the Vikings will be able to win this game. Also, I forgot to mention the Falcons should be able to take advantage of the poor Vikings defense we've seen and the fact that Dalvin Cook is out. That is why this game is pretty close. If Dalvin Cook was in or the Vikings defense had been playing close to how their offense has been, then the Vikings would be winning by quite a lot. Next up, we have Steelers versus Browns. At the beginning of the season, no one thought this would be close. And if they thought it would be close, they thought it would be because they thought both of these teams were going to be bad. I don't know if there are very many people that thought that both of these teams are going to be at the level they're playing at right now. Probably a lot of people thought the Steelers were, probably a lot of people thought the Browns were, but I think a lot of those people were either Steelers or Browns fans. But looking at it right now, you have a 4-0 Steelers team and a 4-1 Browns team. This is a pretty good divisional battle. A lot of people talk about the NFC West as being a really competitive division. No one really talks about the AFC North. I mean, you've got two 4-1 teams and a 4-0 team, and then at the bottom there, you've got the Bengals, who have potential to start winning a lot, which we'll talk about in a bit when we get to that. But right now, looking at this game, the Browns, their offense has been absolutely explosive. They have been insane. I mean, a lot of people talk about their rushing game with what's it called? I forgot his name. Kareem Hunt. I almost forgot Kareem Hunt's name, who is technically questionable, but I have a feeling he'll be in there. And Nick Chubb, while he was healthy, he is on IR now. Don't know how long he is going to be out. Might be the season. I don't know. But right now, a lot of people don't talk about their passing attack. Baker Mayfield has had a really great year. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they have one of the best defenses in the league, and their offense has been putting up numbers. The Browns are a really good running defense. I think this game will be really, really close, but I think it'll come down to the fact that the Browns' offense is just so explosive, making so many different plays, and their defense is playing so well. I think they'll be able to put pressure on Big Ben, maybe get a couple sacks. I think they'll force him to throw a lot, maybe get a couple picks. I think the Browns will get a lot of turnovers, and I think they'll get to surprise win here, 38-35, and they will knock the Steelers down from undefeated. Coming next, we have the Colts playing the Bengals. The Bengals, like I said, they have the potential to be really good, and they have been really good. Joe Burrow, he had definitely by far his worst game last week against the Ravens, but they, like I said before, they have one of the best defenses in the league. The Ravens do, so you can't really fault him for that. He's a rookie going up against that. But other than that, he's 1-3-1, which is a pretty good record for a rookie. Not to mention in the games that he has lost. And I mean, they should have won that Week 1 game against the Chargers. So really, they should be 2-1, but we can't go back and change that. Joe Burrow has been playing like a veteran. He has been playing really well, and also he's been showing his speed, obviously. So right now, the Bengals, I think they can put up a pretty good fight. Meanwhile, the Colts' defense is very, very strong, and Phillip Rivers has been. I mean, he has had 2 pretty bad games, but the other 3 have been pretty good. He's showing that he still has it, and he's got the Colts at 3-2. He's got them, in position to possibly make a run, make the playoffs, do something crazy. Who knows? This might be Phillip Rivers' last season. I think he might have 2 or 3 left in him, but we'll see. And looking at the fact that this Colts defense is just so strong, I think that the Colts defense will be able to make up for the fact that, last week Phillip Rivers did have a pretty bad game. But I think the Colts defense will kind of cover for that here, and they will get the slim win, 28-27. 2 good games in a row for the Colts, I think. But I do think they win this one against the Bengals, and the Bengals will fall to 1-4-1, which, I mean, they're just one of those teams that they've got potential. I mean, you can tell that in these next upcoming years they are going to be a force. But right now, they're just... I feel bad for Bengals fans because you have such a good team, but yet it keeps on losing. Next up, we have Jaguars versus the Lions. Ooh, I feel bad for Jaguars fans too because they had 2 great games at the beginning of the season, and then they've completely flopped after that. They have fallen back down, and they are now near the bottom of the league. Meanwhile, the Lions, they are also, I think the Lions, they're 1-3. So not as bad as the 1-4 Jaguars, but that's because they had a bye week last week. And they've been keeping up pretty well with some good teams. They had a pretty good game with the Saints, and they also, I mean, they've just been playing really, really well. And I think they've been on like kind of an upward they've been going up. They've been getting better slowly. And they're 1-3, so they do still have a chance. If they win this one, they could go 2-3, and then, that's a pretty good record. That's definitely better than 1-3. So the Lions, this season is not over for them. They still have places they can go. And then looking at this game, I think with the Jaguars offense going down the way it is, and the fact that this whole team keeps on, I mean, I think the Jaguars are a team that's slowly getting worse, and the Lions are a team that's slowly getting better, and I think that shows in this game when the Lions beat the Jaguars by 8 points, 21-13. Jaguars fall down to 1-5, and I think that if the Jaguars manage to beat the Lions and they manage to like look really good doing that, if they like beat the Lions 13-14 or 17-14 or something like that, like a really, really close game, I think that their season's still over. But if they blow out the Lions, I think they are still a bit of hope for the Jaguars. And the Lions, I mean, they've been looking pretty good. They need to separate themselves from teams like the Jaguars who are down at the bottom. They need to show that we are not a bottom of the barrel team. We can be one of the better teams in the league. And I think if they beat the Jaguars and if they go 2-3 and if they are still in it after this week, I think that this will kind of separate them. Next up, Panthers versus the Bears. These are two teams who have been surprisingly really good. I thought the Bears are looking for a huge rebuild. I thought they were going to completely collapse, but no, Nick Foles went out there. He beat the Buccaneers. He had a pretty bad game against the Colts. And then now he gets to go up here, play the Panthers, who another team that people thought would be absolutely disgusting. They started out 0-2. They were playing absolutely disgusting, and then they won 3 straight. Mark Davis has been an absolutely insane running back for them. Teddy Bridgewater has been popping off. They have an amazing wide receiver core. Both of these teams are really, really good, much better than I think a lot of people still. I think a lot of people still don't realize just how talented these two teams are. So I do think it'll be an insanely close game. And I also think that it'll come down to defense. And you look at the Panthers' defense, and you look at what they were allowing Todd Gurley to do last week. Todd Gurley was having a field day. They were sending, especially in that first drive that the Falcons had, he was just, they had no answer for him. And then it was like later in the game, they decided, you know what, let's just give it to Matt Ryan. You know what was working early in the game whenever we were up 7-0, and I think we had the lead until like late in the second quarter. Oh yeah, running the ball. Well, let's just pass the ball now. And the Panthers kind of took advantage of that, and they won the game. But you look at the Bears defense, and they were shutting down Tom Brady and this really strong offense. You look at the Buccaneers offense, and they do have Ronald Jones, a really good running back. They do have Tom Brady, a really good quarterback, and I think that comes into play. I think it's a pretty close game, but I think the Bears defense is what pushes them over the top, 27-21. Like I said, a pretty close game. I think they get the win, and they're going to be 5-1. The Bears are looking amazing. We'll have to see what they can do, further down the stretch. Can they keep it up? Can they beat really good teams? Can they make the playoffs and go places? We'll see. Next up, Giants versus Washington. Surprisingly, at this point, I think we both thought that at this point these teams would be far out of the race. I think a lot of people, maybe not me, but a lot of people probably thought that the Cowboys and the Eagles would be like 4-1, 3-2, those kind of records. But no, Washington right now is 1 game out of first place, and the Giants are 2 games out of first place, and they are both, let's be honest, they're both doing pretty bad. All of the NFC East is playing pretty bad. I think no matter what, the team that wins the NFC East is probably going to lose in the wild card round unless something goes crazy. Unless it's a Seahawks 7-9 kind of, the Marshawn Lynch, that famous game where Marshawn Lynch kind of became famous. He had that great run. Unless something like that crazy happens, I think all 4 of these teams really need help. But looking at this game, this is surprisingly a really, 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 really important game because further down the stretch, looking at how badly the other 2 teams in the division are playing, these 2 could end up possibly the top 2 teams in the division. Who knows? Right now, Washington, though, their defense, they had and I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but their defense played pretty well throughout their first 4 games, in my opinion. And then they come in their 5th game against the Ravens, and they go in there and they just play terribly. They were allowing touchdowns like on every drive. They allowed 30 points, and I know the Rams have one of the best offenses in the league, but I do think their defense should have done better. Another thing, you can look at Washington and you can say they're 1-4. But you also have to realize that they played some of the best teams in the league. So they beat the Eagles, right? And the Eagles are pretty good. They're 1-3-1. They're not bad. So that was like definitely their worst opponent. And then they play the Cardinals, who so far we're seeing are really, really good. The Browns, obviously, who are 4-1, are looking like beasts. They play the Ravens, who have one of the best defenses in the league, and they have Lamar Jackson and an amazing offense. And then they play the Rams, who obviously are looking like a team that could blow up and go places. So they have played some of the hardest teams to beat in the entire league right now. And I think, they have a pretty good few games. They have a pretty easy couple games coming up. And I think this is one of them. And I think Washington, with their strong defense and the way the Giants played last week, I think they'll get the win here. I'm sorry if I kind of, blew through that towards the end. I feel like I was talking way too long. But I do think Washington gets a slim win here, 21-17, and they move on to Dallas next week. Heading up, Patriots Broncos. Cam Newton is cleared to play. Finally, he is going to be in this game. I posted my what's it called? Power rankings like 10 minutes before they cleared him to be in there. So now people are gonna be watching this like, what? Why does he have him at like 30th? I didn't. I think I had him like 24th or whatever. But still, the Patriots, they have Cam Newton in there, and when they have Cam Newton, they are on fire. I don't think they're gonna have Stephon Gilmore. I think he is still, let me check real quick. And it appears to me that, looking at this, sorry, I'm trying to find where they have. Stephon Gilmore is, I don't think, going to be in this game. I think he still has COVID. Anyways, but looking at the Broncos, of course, they still have Brett Rippon in at quarterback. From all I see, they still have Brett Rippon in there. And there's nothing I can really say. The Patriots, when they have Cam Newton, their offense is just on fire. They have such a good offense whenever he's out there. Well, no, I think Drew Lock will actually be in this one. I don't know. Patriots win. It may not be this. If Drew Lock is in, it won't be this big of a deficit. But if Drew Lock is out, I think this is the score. Sorry, I have. If you're wondering why I'm like freaking out, it's because I have my depth chart over there, and I cannot figure out if these guys are in or out. Next up, we have Dolphins versus the Jets. The Dolphins might be the most underrated team in football, and I'm not a Dolphins fan. I'm a fan of an NFC team. I just think the Dolphins are playing really well. I've said this in like every single video when I mention the Dolphins, and I'm gonna say it one more time, and probably 50 others. They kept it close with the Seahawks. They kept it close with the Bills, and then they completely thwopped the 49ers. They are looking. And Fitzpatrick has had 4 straight good. He's had a really good season thus far. He is insane. I think that they still have a chance to make the playoffs if they're 2-3, and then they're going up against maybe one of the worst teams, the worst team in the league, the Jets. No question about it right now. But who knows? Who knows what Frank Gore can do for this team? They dropped Le'Veon Bell earlier, and Sam Darnold's still out of this game. They're going to have Joe Flacco in there, Frank Gore, and LaMichael Perrine as their 2 running backs. It's insane how bad the Jets are. I think this is really a no-brainer. I think the Dolphins kind of beat them pretty badly, 28-13. I think they move up to 3-3, and they go into the rest of the season. I think they have a chance. They have kept it close with some of the best teams in the league. I'm sounding like a Dolphins fan right now, but I swear I'm not. Wait, okay, I'm seeing something. Stephon Gilmore will be playing for the Patriots. I'm so sorry for that confusion. But the Dolphins, they're looking like one of the best teams. They're definitely, their offense has been playing really, really well. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me 100%, but I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs this season, even if Tagovailoa sits on the bench. I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs next season. I don't know. I better go to the next game before I embarrass myself even further, if that's possible. Next up, we have the Buccaneers playing the Packers. This will be a really good game to watch. Unfortunately, it's not Sunday Night Football. I feel like they should do something crazy. I want to watch this game, but I can't because it's not Sunday Night Football. So I really wish they would make this like Sunday Night Football. Don't know why I'm saying that, but anyways, the Buccaneers, we've been looking great. They lost last week to the Bears. That was just a little off week. They really kept really close. It was 20-19, obviously. It was just a lot about defense in the second half and the Bears defense. And also, the Buccaneers offensive line had penalty after penalty after penalty. They were in field goal range one time, and it was simply because of the Buccaneers offensive line. They got knocked back into their own territory from inside field goal range. And they had like a 3rd and 34 or something. It's insane. So really, I think a lot of that wasn't their fault. I think a lot of that they can fix. I think they can sit there and they can go, don't get penalized. Okay, they can practice those things. It obviously was their fault. 100% penalties are definitely on their side, on their fault. And then you look at the Packers, who are they're playing great. Their defense, I think, could use some work. But looking at the way it is now, their offense is absolutely on fire. And I think this could be a really, really, really good game. I think it'll be a really high-scoring one. But I do think that the Packers, because of their offenses, is so insane. I think they will get the 4-point win here, 42-38. And the Packers, they will. I think they're undefeated. Yeah, they will stay undefeated. And they, I mean, I don't know if they crush the Buccaneers, they will be the best team in football. I mean, they are such a godly team. They are so good. I don't know of a single team that can beat them except for maybe the Chiefs. It is insane how good the Packers are. I would not be surprised to see Aaron Rodgers. If we fast forward in time a year, I would not be surprised to see Aaron Rodgers with 2 Super Bowl rings on his fingers. Just saying. Next up, we finally are entering Sunday Night Football with the 49ers versus the Rams. The Rams, they completely stomped all over Washington last week. They had a great game, especially that offense. They just, I mean, Washington's defense was from weeks past we've seen as one of the best in the league, really. Well, not one of the best, but like they played really, really well. Especially that, off defensive line, and with Kendall Fuller in that cornerback position is really good. He's had 3 interceptions in the 2 games he's played, and the Rams were able. I mean, they did throw an interception, but other than that, their offense was pitch perfect. And then you look at the 49ers, they played terribly last week. I'm just gonna say, you know what, Jimmy Garoppolo, he was injured, and then now he's coming back. I'm just gonna say that last week was a fluke. However, I do still think that because of how bad the rest of their team did play, and the fact that Jimmy G got benched for C.J. Beathard, I'm going to say the Rams won this one by 10 just because of how well the Rams played and how badly the 49ers played. And yeah, let's go to the next game. I'm pretty sure we have 2 Monday Night Football games, the first one being Bills versus the Chiefs. This one should be a really good one. Despite the fact, I mean, the Bills, they lost pretty badly to the Titans. They do still have one of the best defenses. They do still have a really good offense. Look at the Chiefs. They also have an insane team. These are going to be 2 really good teams. I know I say this with a lot of games, but this could end up with playoff implications later in the season. And I'm just looking at it, and the way they played last week, the Bills' defense needs to step up, and then they're going up against the Chiefs, who, in my opinion, have a better offense than the 49ers. So I think it'll be a lot closer, but I'm still going to give it to the Chiefs here, 31-28. No one's really surprised. I think it could be a pretty good game, but in the end, the Chiefs will get the win there. And next up, we have Cowboys versus Cardinals. Not to spoil anything, but I haven't used my lock of the week yet. You have the Cowboys who have, I'm sorry, but they have Andy Dalton in because Dak Prescott got injured. I don't, here's another thing. I know a lot of people are saying it, but Carson Wentz, whenever he got injured, people were laughing and laughing. And then the moment Dak Prescott got injured, people were crying. People are going to freak out. I wish the best for him, but, like, I'm not going to cry over it. Just saying. But look at the Cardinals. They have one of the best defenses. They have an insane offense. The Cowboys might have the worst defense in football after what we've seen. And then they put Andy Dalton in at quarterback. Their offense might be they might be one of the worst teams in football without Dak Prescott in there. Who knows? They're going to have to feed Zeke. And the way that, Ezekiel Elliott, I know people say, oh, he's not getting carries. He's not doing anything with the carries he's getting either. I'd say, again, it's a pretty big blowout here, 35-17. And I already spoiled it, so I might as well go ahead and reveal. It's my lock of the week, too. 35-17, Cardinals win. And I know it might not be the biggest deficit, I don't know, 18 points, but I am 100% sure that the Cardinals are going to win. Not 100%, but I am out of any of these games, I am the most sure of this one. I'm trying to look to see if I did any other, teams this bad. I guess I had the Eagles losing 35-20. Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching this video. There's no other games. We just had 2 Monday Night Football games here. And yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like football, if you like football, and if you like to hear someone rant about football for a few minutes every day, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, of course, if you liked it. In my description, you will find links to all my social media, Twitter, Instagram, and even on Patreon. You can go support me there if you want. I'd be very grateful if you went ahead and did all that. I hope to see you in the next video. In fact, I know I will, or else.